So many people don't realize they have such a hard time setting boundaries, not just because they don't know how to set boundaries, right? See, that's just the first piece of it. They don't actually practice doing it enough. How can you become more comfortable with and better at setting boundaries if you don't actually practice doing it? It's like trying to play a sport that you never go and put any reps in the gym or do any practices to try to get better at doing. And you try to go out on game day and show up and show out the day of whenever you never did the preparation work to be able to do that effectively. Because it's one thing to set boundaries in a general sense, but it's another thing to try to set boundaries that you're not only going to set, but you're also going to enforce whenever the stakes are high enough, whenever the emotional or mental impact is high enough, or even physical impact. So if you struggle with actually setting boundaries for yourself and just in relationships in general, then the first thing you need to do is start setting boundaries that you enforce on smaller levels. Take it step by step, practice. And when I say smaller levels, I mean in ways or with things or with people to where there's less mental and emotional attachment there. You stand to take less of a blow depending on how that experience goes. It's less risky for you emotionally or mentally. So it could be setting a certain boundary with a friend, right? That matters to you, but it's not the same as that significant other to where if they don't respect the boundary, you'll be deeply hurt. Or if they violate the boundary, you'll be deeply hurt, right? Or with a friend, you might be disappointed. You might even be hurt on a level, right? You might not be so happy with what they did, but you can more easily move away from that person or, mend and heal and move on past it because maybe they're not as significant as a person that's supposed to be with you for the rest of your life. But even making it simpler for you, even out in public, when you have an interaction with someone in the supermarket or something somewhere to where they did something that wasn't so necessarily okay for you, right? Now, they don't know you from a can of paint, so they don't really owe you anything. You don't owe them anything. But as a human being, we all do owe each other respect just for being people, right? So even if you start in a space of letting someone know in public if they've done something that could be offensive to you, to make them aware of what they did, that how it affected you, right? If they choose to care to listen, and ask them to stop. Maybe something they're continuing to do in your space that's not working for you. And then, hey, they'll let them know this is how this kind of impacts me in this way. I know you maybe don't mean to do that, but could you please stop that or whatever? And then if they do not, or if they're, still seem to give you some pushback, ask them again and say, hey, if you do not, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get management, whatever you need to do to uphold your boundary to preserve you. Because at the end of the day, setting a boundary is communicating it to the people that need to hear it, but enforcing it is about what you're going to do if they do not honor or respect what you're asking that you require for your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. And after you put some reps in doing that, step it up to your friends and your family, where the stakes are a little bit higher, but not too high, right? To where there's things that are important that you need them to respect and honor for you that maybe sometimes they do overstep a boundary. Maybe the boundary could be that friend or family member that always calls you to vent about their situations they're going through. They always call you for something negative. And where you want to be helpful, at some point, it gets difficult to keep picking that phone up because it's going to be this negativity just thrown at you. And it's not healthy for you mentally and emotionally to always have to talk about something negative with someone that you care about. So setting the boundary would be, hey, I love to be here to be a good ear for you and be a support whenever you're going through things. But I kind of feel like you only reach out whenever it's something negative. And, it doesn't seem like you're doing things to change the situation. I don't want to just be a sounding board for negativity because it's not healthy for me. It makes me feel bad. That starts changing my mood. And it just makes me feel like I'm being used for negative reasons. So I ask that, hey, if you come to me for some advice or something like that, at least be coming to seek an actual solution. Don't come just to vent. And I ask that you try to solve it on your own before you call me, and don't just make me your first go-to so you can just get it out. So I ask you to respect that and do that for me. But if you decide not to, I can respect it, but I'm going to stop answering the phone, or I'm going to get off the call the moment I recognize you're calling me for something negative. I'm just letting you know in advance that's what I'm going to do to enforce my boundary. Put reps in like that, setting boundaries that you require for whatever they need to be with who they need to be with. Then you step it up to your partner, the person that has the most significant impact on your mental, emotional equation. And if you're not in a relationship, even better. then keep getting those reps in with people around you that matter the most to you, so you can build that muscle and reflex to set a boundary and enforce it when necessary when you finally are in a relationship. You don't want to start while you're already in it, right? Or when you're about to be in the relationship to start trying to figure out how to set a boundary and stand on it, because you're going to wind up failing miserably, right? If you have that person that is going to matter so much to you that you wanted to work out with, you're less likely to go and lean into the uncomfortable conversations of setting something with them that you feel they may feel offended or won't like hearing necessarily, to where you're more inclined to back off from saying anything because you really don't want to mess things up, instead of building muscle beforehand to be able to sit in that uncomfortable space comfortably for both of you guys' betterment, because you know it's only healthy for both of you guys to hear this boundary that you require, and it serves you both. And the little subconscious thing we don't think about whenever you actually do practice setting boundaries more regularly is you're also simultaneously practicing self-love when you do that, and value building, because you're putting in the work and the practice and the reps to stand up for your value, which innately starts to show you that you are valuable to yourself. It makes it less likely that you will allow someone to violate a boundary without speaking up and so forth appropriately whenever it matters most with someone that you care about deeply. So get out there and start practicing setting and standing on your boundaries effectively, so that you can stay ready, so that whenever it matters most, you don't have to get ready. Let's get it.